Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to one of our new broadcasts, English-speaking broadcast, K.Υ.Μ.Α. Today we're going to talk about the anniversary, the 48th anniversary of the invasion of Cyprus by the Turks. And at this point, I have to welcome Mr. Kostas Dimitriadis, who is going to enlighten us again of exactly what happened 48 years ago. Good afternoon, Kostas. How are you?
Good afternoon, Sophia. Good afternoon to our audience, to our friends that they spend their time to see us and to listen what we are going to say.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a bitter anniversary that we had 2 days ago, 20th of July, 1974. Already 48 years since then. We have bitter memories and a very bad result so far. The fact that nothing changed since 1974. 37% of the sovereign country, state of Cyprus democracy is occupied illegally by the Turkish armed forces, and everything seems to go year by year in the same tone, in the same rhythm, in the same slow movement, which is far away from a solution.
That's right. And we have to emphasize it is illegal. The invasion of...
it's illegal. It's illegal. It's illegal because we have to say every invasion now, for example, we are saying that Russians made an illegal invasion in Ukraine, and almost the whole civilized world is against Russians from what is happening in Ukraine. Something similar had happened in 1974. The only problem is that at that period, nobody came to help Cypriots that they were fighting for the freedom of their country against a third country who was invading the island. It's politics.
Yeah, it is politics. That's right.
That time, the civilized world was oriented in another vision, in another view. Today, geostrategic issues impose a different treatment in a similar case, which is Ukraine.
How all this happened, how all this started, Kostas? Can you describe us the situation back then? We had Makarios as the president of Cyprus.
Yes, after the world of let's say the guerrilla war of EOKA in 1960, it was announced that a new state is part of the United Nations, a sovereign state, which was a Cypriot democracy, the democracy of the Cypriots. Cyprus was an island that was they were living 82% Greeks in origin and 12% Turks, which were mainly, let's say, next generations from the generations that they were occupying for several centuries the island during the Ottoman Empire. In 1878, the Turks, the Ottoman Empire, has sold to the English the island, and since then it was practically a colony of
the British Empire. Yeah.
Exactly. English people knew that the population in the island, it was a majority, the very, very high majority was Greeks, were Greeks. And according to that, always during the First and the Second World War, they were using this as a bait for the Greeks to fight, of the island, to fight in the side of the English in the First World War, but mainly in the Second World War, with, let's say, they were living at that time a promise within brackets, okay, that fight on our side now, and when the war is over,
join Greece
we will arrange that your vision to unite with Greece. Maybe we will see it in another aspect. Okay, politics again impose once again the necessity for English not to leave the island to unite with Greece. During one period, after the Cyprus democracy was founded, the Americans that took over through NATO the control of the area tried to make this unification of the island with Greece, but they always had to face the negative reaction from the part of Archbishop Makarios, who was the first president of democracy of Cyprus. And this mainly what they say practically, and what we can see in, let's say, in the documentaries and all the evidence that they exist in the archives, is mainly because Makarios didn't want to lose the, let's say, the edge of the position. That means to be a president. You know, he understood that if the island will become one of the islands of Greece, for example, like Crete, or like
the president,
he would not be president anymore. He would not be. Maybe he could be minister for Cyprus, you know, but this is what was not something that satisfactory for him. So he denied in a direct or indirect way these proposals from the United States, which was the plan, the Acheson plan, the deal Acheson plan in 1964. And then after one after the other, you know, all the other proposals that they came, one day the American says, okay, Greeks are over for me. Let's see if we can do it, because in any case, they didn't want the island to go in the part of neutrality, let's say like countries as Egypt or other countries, or on the part of the Soviet Union, you know, because Makarios had very good relationship with Soviet Union, also due to the fact that the Communist Party in Cyprus was very, let's say, it had the power. It was not like it is in other countries, 3%, 5% or something. It was a very remarkable percentage of the people that they were in favor of the Communist Party. So the Americans were afraid that, always afraid, that Cyprus could slip in the side of the Soviets. Therefore, when the turn of Greeks was over, and they didn't find any solution for unite the island with Greece, it was a turn for the Turks. Johnson, the president of US at that time, you know, frankly speaking, tried to make what was fair. The island to come to Greece, because the majority of the population were Greeks. The island was Greek since the ancient times. But in any case, as I explained to you, situation was like this. Then one day, just to short a little bit the story, to make shorter, during the period of the Greek Huda, that means the government, that it was a result of a coup d'etat in Greece. That was they had as a leader the Brigadier Ioannidis, were practically pushed by some CIA agents, with the main of them was Gas Avrakotos, who was in a Greek origin, who was a Greek American Greek. It's you can say that better. It was an American, but Greek of second generation. This guy has pushed with various promises, let's say, lighting a little bit the let's not patriotism, nationalism of Brigadier Ioannidis, to make a coup d'etat against Makarios in the summer of '74. And this happened. It was a military movement in the National Guard of Cyprus, which was leading by Greek officers favorable to Ioannidis. They throw away from the position of the president of democracy, Makarios, who left the island with the support of the English, and through Malta he arrived in London. He has spoken with the British government, and then he went to the United Nations Security Council, and he made a speech where he was accusing Greeks that they have thrown him from his position, his constitutional position, and practically he was inviting the Turks to come and to bring him back together with the English as the third guaranteed power in his real position, who was the president of democracy. Some people, they say that he invited Turks, that's why the Turks had invaded Cyprus. This is not true. Since 1964, when the first frictions between Greeks and Turkish minority in the island were in their peak, let's say, the Turks understood that it came the time to organize an invasion, and they planned this invasion for 10 years. Okay, 74 is 10 years after.
Yeah, so, we've got a map here. What does it say on the map? If you can explain.
Yes, where it shows, practically, you can see, the first map, it was a map that it was always in the hands of the English, Minister of Foreign Affairs in his briefcase, because, frankly speaking, it was the demands of the Turks since the time before the independence of the island. Then we have maps that the Turks by themselves, they have prepared showing their demands on the island. Then the third map, the one in the bottom in the left, it is a map that has been prepared by a case study team of Minister for Foreign Affairs of US, Dr. Henry Kissinger. And it was made 2 days, practically the day before it concluded, to that, before the second wave of attack of the Turks in the island. That made the Attila II phase. And at the end, we have a map that has been taken from a Turkish military prisoner, a major that was captured as a prisoner of war. And he had this map on his files, where it shows practically what were the intentions of the Turks with this second phase that they started in the island. So, as we can see, this was the dream of the Turks to make a division, divide the island. Yes, and to take one part of it. On the 20th of July, while in the island things were starting to be a little bit more calm due to the fact that Greeks did not touch the Turks. That means the coup d'etat that happened in the 15th of July that has thrown from his position Archbishop Makarios and the military people took over. Makarios, with this speech in the Security Council in the UN in New York, practically has given, let's say, the legal alibi of the Turks to invade, while the Turks were already in the halfway to Cyprus. That means that it was not due to the speech of Makarios that Turks made the invasion, as a lot of political opposition to Makarios is saying. Okay, but the truth is that this speech gave to the Turks the legal alibi to make this invasion. On the 20th of July, the first, early in the morning, the first armed forces of Turks had landed to an area near Kyrenia, in the north of the island.
Yeah, we have the front page of one of the newspapers, The Sun, which is very popular in England. If you can explain what exactly...
Yes, it is, yes, the journalist of Sun has sent a broadcast from the areas where Turks were entering in the islands, in the village of the island, where the Turks made unbelievable atrocities. For example, it says there that
I know it says on the front page
about
here,
the rapes in the women, that they started from the age of 12, of 10 years old, and up to 80. Old ladies up to 80 years old, they were raped by Turkish armed forces. Also, they say for somebody that his wife was raped in front of him several times. It says that for somebody, it was a lady that was looking at her father, that the Turks cut his hands and his feet in front of her, and then they killed him with one shot before raping her. You know, all these, you know, these ladies that they have been raped and treated like animals by the real animals. It was these so-called soldiers. They were coming with the Red Cross in the, let's say, the not the areas where the Turks didn't land, didn't appear yet.
Yeah.
And these journalists there, they took interviews by first hand from those ladies while they were crying, while they were under shock. And that's why the British journalist has sent these messages that has been put, these reports that they have been put in the first page of Sun.
Yeah.
That this is the unbelievable story, because the Turks came as saviors. Let's say they came and they were sending leaflets from the airplanes saying that we are coming to bring peace, to bring brotherhood among Greeks and Turks. But all these were things that practically were out of reality, were things that they were not real at all, because the first thing that they were doing when they were entering in a village, it was they were trying to put away, after using them with sexual and other kind of abuses, the women and children. They were capturing the men from the age of 15 to the age of 60 something, and they were taking them as hostages in the first as a first step, and they were making ethnic cleansing. Okay, practically in this situation, which exists up to now, for example, because all these legal inhabitants in these villages, in these cities, like Kyrenia, like Famagusta, like Morphu, all these places, the real inhabitants, the real population has been sent as refugees in the part which is still free, okay, with the part which is the remaining 60% practically of Cyprus democracy. And in these places, they have been replaced, the population, by Turkish population coming from Anatolia, from the deep Asian areas, that they have nothing to do, absolutely nothing to do with Cyprus. Okay, I understand that the Cypriots living in Turkish ghettos, let's say, just to understand, in Larnaca or in Limassol or in Paphos or in Nicosia. No, in Nicosia it was different. Or in Famagusta, they have also transferred themselves after their leader, Rauf Dektas, had instructed them to the occupied part, and they took the houses. But in any case, there were too many houses left empty, because this population was very, very, very few, you know, compared to those that they left their property and their houses. So the Turks, what they did, they changed the balance of the population. They brought people from Anatolia, from let's say the areas near Caucasus, in the deep part of Turkey, which is the frontiers with Iraq and all these areas there near to the Lake Van. They took people from there and they brought it to Cyprus to make a new life, and they gave them the houses, the shops, everything that it belonged to the Greek Cypriots. Okay, the Greek armed forces, they did not want to intervene, and they didn't intervene, because if Greece, despite the fact that they took under mobilization reservists, they didn't send them to Cyprus, and no, let's say, no warfare started between Greece and Turkey. Practically, the Greek dictatorship has fallen from the scenes of this coup d'etat that they did against Makarios, which was finally it had as a result the Turkish invasion.
Mm-hmm.
And under this respect, a political government has taken the authority and the power in Greece in the 24th of July, but practically they did nothing,
mm-hmm.
because it seemed that they had made an agreement between US, English authorities not to intervene in Cyprus and to let Turks take the part, let's say, like a double partition, something like this.
Mm-hmm.
And Greeks were supposed to fight only with the armed forces that they had as a guaranteed power in the island. That means that the Greek regiment that was based in Cyprus, let's say the 1,000, almost 1,000 soldiers. Now, frankly speaking, this war for the Turks, it was easy, because from the other side, Greece did not, I repeat, most probably because this was the agreement of the politics and the politicians that they took over let's say, the government. It was this, not to intervene. So Cypriots were left alone to fight a very serious war machine that it was the Turkish one. And so the Turks prevailed, and they have arrived to a point to get the 37% of the island, which is practically a part of the island they still keep after 48 years. In 1983, they have announced an independent state that it was composed practically from the territory that they have gained with the invention of 74.
Yeah. It's not recognized by anybody, though.
This exactly is only recognized by Turkey.
Turkey.
Okay.
And Pakistan, I heard that Pakistan, they were talking about recognizing it as well, but it's not legally.
They have expressed the intention to recognize. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. But in any case, from the 200 and so countries worldwide, only Turkey so far.
Only Turkey. Yeah.
Only Turkey. Yeah. After 48 years, let's say after 30 years, almost 30 or 40 years, 83 it was, yes, November, 15 November of 11 or 15 November 1983. So 40 years, almost 40 years, it is only one country that has recognized
that. It's the country that caused all this anyway.
It's a country practically in papers that they have created. It is. I believe that it is not also the Turkish Cypriots' decision to make it this, because practically, despite the fact that in Cypriot democracy, in the Cyprus democracy, in the state that still remains from untouched by since 1960. Things are arranged and agreed, and let's say they decide for themselves without interference of Greek politicians or Greek government. In the occupied part, it is a Muppet government that it is practically following the instructions of Turkey. Mr. Erdogan is talking on the behalf of the Turkish Cypriots. Okay, so it's another issue. This, therefore, we made this broadcast today just to give an idea of what had happened and what still exists in this island. We have the only capital which is divided. Only capital in the world. There is no other capital of a state that it is divided.
Yeah.
Okay?
What do you think Greeks could have done better? Do you think we done something wrong and we ended up in this situation? Could we have done something else?
We as Greeks did not do what we have not done, what we should have done in the first place. I mean, in 1964, to push Makarios by all means, to accept, to unite Cyprus as it was proposed by the USA, by the Americans, to unite Cyprus with Greece. Because the Americans wanted the island in NATO. Okay? Greece and Turkey, they are both members of NATO. England is a member of NATO, but England has only 2 small bases, military bases, let's say, in the island. They wanted the whole island in NATO. Okay? They gave to the majority, to the Greeks, the opportunity to be the first to unite the island with their own country. Regardless that the Greek people always wanted Cyprus and the Cypriot people wanted to unite with Greece because they are Greeks, their government always made a sabotage to all the proposals. And when the Americans finally said, okay, enough is enough, we were not playing games here, the turn of Greeks is finished. Let's look for the Turks, of the Greeks finished. Let's look what we can do with the Turks. Then they gave the possibility to the Turks, okay? And that's why they didn't intervene in 1974. On the contrary, they helped, let's say, from the political point of view, the Turks. This is the reality, and we have to accept it. This is the first mistake of the Greek governments, that they took too seriously Makarios and they didn't try to overpass him.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we should learn from our mistakes, and that's the main.
This is the first mistake. The second mistake.
We should learn from our mistakes then.
I don't think that there is enough now to make these things. In any case, now that we cannot become prophets of something that had happened like a deja vu, you know, is something that happened almost half a century ago. But in any case, in 1974, Greeks had to support, in any case, the island, because in any case, the island was Greek. And the invasion to Cyprus, it was like an invasion to Greece. I said, due to the fact of the engagement that they had, the politicians, they took over from 24th of July. And before them, the agreements that they had, the people of the Greek Huda, that not to intervene, because practically according to what the American agents used to say to them, the Turks will only make an invasion, take a small part there in Kyrenia area, and because they needed a harbor, and that's it. Okay, and then you can make unite the rest of the island. Let's say the 95%, the 90% of the island with Greece. And the people of the Greek junta, they believed them. They did this stupid action against Makarios, which practically, like a domino, brought all the bad results. Yeah. Okay, Turks were ready. They knew how things will happen. They were prepared. Since April, they were preparing the invasion. Greeks knew it, but they were calmed down by these agents of CIA that I told you. And I told you the name. It was Gas Stavrakotos. He died some years ago. And he was playing this game with let's say, the man in power in Greek government of that time, the Brigadier Ioannidis. So this is more or less the situation. Now we are finding ourselves in a big dilemma, which is what shall we do from now on? Because Erdogan is threatening the Cypriots that he will partially unite the occupied part with Turkey.
That's right.
There are several things. There are several things that pushing also for a solution of two states that Greek Cypriots cannot accept, because Cypriot democracy, the Cyprus democracy, as we say, Cyprus as a state is member of United Nations, European Union. Okay. How you can say that this island, which is in a whole, let's say, free and occupied part, is member of European Union?
How? Exactly.
as territory, because for the occupied part, the European Union has no, let's say, authority.
Cannot control it, yeah.
Not control, and as they don't recognize this status quo. Okay, it says, if you find the solution, and then also the northern part, the occupied part, will make part of the European Union as a whole. But frankly, it's a very difficult case to find a solution, because the demands of the Turks are outstanding after creating this status, which is a de facto partition of the island, Taksim, as they call it in Turkish. It's very difficult for the Greek politicians to accept it. I don't think that you can find a Greek Cypriot president, according to the constitution of the country, that the president has to be Greek Cypriot, and the vice president will have to be Turkish Cypriot. So there will not be any Greek Cypriot president of the country to accept, to sign an agreement of that is giving practically leaving the opportunity to Turks to make partition of the island in the sense of the two countries, or to to unite the occupied part with Turkey. Nothing, no one will ever sign, I believe, will ever dare to sign such an agreement. So things are moving in this sense day by day. Although the Communist Party in Cyprus is in favor to such an agreement, okay, because according to them, they are communists are not. They don't have country. They are internationally. They are internationally. So they don't care if they make an agreement that it belongs to Turkey, says Greek Cypriot workers and Turkish Cypriot workers, blah 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 blah. Greek Cypriots agriculture people with Turkish people, Turkish Cypriot agriculture people are brothers, and okay, this is their point of view. I will not criticize it because I am against it, and I don't even get in the trouble to criticize it. In any case, I think that the Cyprus problem today is 50 times, not to say 100 times, more difficult to be solved than it used to be in the beginning of the 60s. Okay, because now we have a situation that exists, a solid situation that exists for almost half a century. Let's hope that things will become better. Nevertheless, we have to point something on that the Turkish Cypriots, due to the fact that Cyprus is part of the European Union, they have European passports. They are treated as citizens of the Cyprus democracy. In any sense, in the hospitals, in the services, in everything. They play in two games. From the one part, they have their house in the occupied lands that most probably belong to a Greek Cypriot, and at the same time, they say that we are citizens of Cypriot democracy, that we don't recognize, okay, take in consideration this, that they don't recognize it.
And they are the only ones that don't recognize it.
They don't recognize the Cyprus democracy, but it's good for them to get the passports. Okay? Look how crazy the situation is. It's madness. They don't recognize the president of democracy. For them is, let's say, the representative of the Greek Cypriots, of a group of people. Let's say, consider it like this: of the Greek society of Cyprus. Okay, they don't recognize it as a president of democracy because they don't recognize the Cypriot democracy. And at the same time, it's good, Sophia, for them to get the passport of Cyprus democracy and to travel without any problem in the European Union and to have all the benefits that they have as a European citizen. Okay? One time or one day, all this must end. Okay? And I believe that the Cyprus democracy has to say, okay, I give you the passport and you sign a document here where it says, because there is still on the Constitution of Cyprus, let's say the chapter for treason, okay, against the country. So it says that if I will not recognize Cyprus democracy as the only legal authority in the island, in the whole island, okay, if I don't recognize it, I can be accused for treason, okay, and then you give him the passport. Otherwise, if he does sign it, says sorry. Find an excuse and you don't give the passport. I don't understand why they are doing this. Every time one step back. The shock that is facing the Cypriot people of 74, I think that it's still very, very strong here in the island. I'm living practically 120 meters from the Turkish guard, which is close to me. The neutral area, which is the area that separates the Greek sector, the free sector, with the occupied sector, the occupied Turkish sector, it's 60 meters from my house. Okay? I think that this must come to an end. One day must come to an end. Because Cyprus is a legal entity. It's for the whole island. What has been created in the northern part cannot be accepted even half a century, even 1 century after when it happened, because it is illegal.
It's illegal again.
It is illegal. It is taken by force, by the arms, by atrocities. Okay? We still have 100, almost 1,000 missing in action persons that Turkey denies or refuses to give information. People that they have been shown, they have been seen in Turkey, displaced from Cyprus, and they don't give any information for them.
Yeah.
Okay, we had they themselves by themselves they say that, you know, these soldiers that we captured, we executed them and we throw them in a well. Okay, they say it by themselves, you know, and no one asked Turkey to pay for everything that they had done in 1974 in Cyprus. It is politics, my dear.
Of course.
It is politics. Okay? It is the same thing that happened in Kuwait some decades ago, when Saddam invaded in Kuwait. Then the whole world supported Kuwait. The same is happening now with Ukraine. The whole world is supporting Ukraine. But when it happened this in Cyprus in 1974, no one has even moved his finger.
Yeah, maybe because it wasn't, I don't know, it wasn't expected. It wasn't.
No, it was the politics and the geopolitics of that period that they were not supporting such an action.
Unfortunately.
Okay? It was the spirit of Kissinger who was saying, you had your chance to the Greeks, now let Turks to do what they have to do. This is how he treated the whole case at that period. And Wilson, with Heath, they didn't react it because practically they were, I don't say they were guided by the Americans, but let's say they had parallel interests at that time. Okay? Traditionally, UK with US, they were in the same boat always.
Had the same
and the same happens even today.
Plans.
They have the same interest.
Yeah.
So,
same interests and plans.
English people, practically the English army, the only thing they did in 1974, wherever they could support and transfer in, let's say, in a safe place, British citizens of Cyprus, is what they did.
Yeah, they did that. Of course, they had to do it.
The helicopter carrier Hermes, you know, they were bringing tourists, but also people that they were living in Cyprus. Because frankly speaking, you know, there were also Americans that they were tourists and also other nationalities that they suffered by the Turks. Because the Turks didn't pay any attention if you had British passport or this. It had to be military people of English, let's say English soldiers there, to impose to them to respect the life and the condition of the English citizens that they were in Cyprus. Otherwise, they treat everybody in the same sense, because they knew that there were too many Greek Cypriots, that they were having British passports and all these things, so they didn't care. This is the point. I think that we said enough, and I don't want to take much more time. We have overpassed the time that we were scheduled to. We have planned to talk about this. But frankly speaking, there are a lot of things to say. I don't think that we said something, let's say, nationalistic. If you take it in this, I try to be neutral. I mean that not neutral in the sense that I'm in English talking about Greeks and Turks. Okay, I'm Greek. It's obvious that I cannot be 100% objective. But frankly speaking, I am using all the documentation, because I have studied this period of 74, only the 74, for 34 years, and I have written 4 books for that period, and I'm aware of what had happened then, the good things and the bad things, for Greeks and also for the Turks. Okay, and I say what I have found.
Yeah, because that's the truth. That's something they cannot deny.
Some people, maybe they don't like it. Maybe some fellow Greeks will hear what I'm saying
and they may not like them. But that's the truth. That's a fact. We cannot deny the facts.
I'm talking about facts. Okay.
Exactly. We cannot deny them.
I think certain Greek officers, certain Greek politicians, for treason against Greece and against Cyprus.
Of course, yeah.
And nobody ever dare to sue me about what I have written there, because everything I have written, it's documented. Okay, exactly. Can be proven in the court of law. On the same time, I say what I know and what I have taken from Turkish sources, and I know what I'm saying also for the Turks, that they played a very bad game against the island and against its population. And they still play a very bad game. That's it.
Right. Oh, well, 53 minutes. Past out.
We were saying about 30 minutes maximum, and we made the double.
Yes. Never mind.
Let's hope that somebody will stay up to the end in this broadcast.
Something interesting, and I think they will stay till the end. Yes. Well, thank you, Kostas, for tonight's contribution to the broadcast. Thank you for your.
It was my pleasure.
Your views.
Anytime at your disposal for this kind of broadcast.
We will keep doing the broadcast in English language because of our friends and Greeks who are second generation.
It's not only UK, because I saw that with the let's say the channels that you are using to make them see these broadcasts. People also in Sweden, in Norway, in Finland, in
many
Germany,
other countries, and there are many Greeks who are second generation, and they don't.
And they all speak English, so there is no problem to understand what we're talking about.
Unfortunately, some Greeks, second generation Greeks, that don't have the Greek as the first language, as the mother language, so they prefer to listen in English because that's what they use in everyday life. So that's a good thing.
I only apologize. I only apologize to the English audience if I killed the English language. I tried my best. I told you, I used to talk, to speak English very well, very, very well in my youth. But when you are not using for many years a language, okay, there is always.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I did my best in any case.
Yeah. I must say, yeah, you speak very well English.
Thank you very much. You gave me the chocolate of the day. You gave me a very good chocolate.
Right. Okay.
Take care.
Okay. Good
Thank
night,
you very
Kostas,
much
and good night to our audience. And thanks for watching. And hopefully you learned something. Hopefully. Good night to everybody.